In the world of Black Clover, there are tons of devils that we've been introduced to besides Asta's lovable devil brother Liebe, but with so many devils in the series, it might be hard to keep track of them all, which is why in today's Black Clover video, we're going to take a look at all the main devils you should be aware of in Black Clover, and we're only going to be discussing the devils that we've actually seen. Finally, this video will have spoilers beyond the last anime episode, so if you aren't reading the manga, there will obviously be spoilers. As we go into the various devils, it's important to remember what exactly makes a devil in Black Clover as special as they are. They're a violent and ancient race of beings who live in the underworld. Under most circumstances, devils can appear in the human world on their own. When they have been in the human world, it's been under specific circumstances, like when Nacht's family uses the ritual to summon them to the human world, or when you have the Quillif actually bringing devils from the underworld into the real world. However, if you're a devil like Liebe, Asta's brother, then you're able to enter the human world because Liebe has no magic. So there are exceptions to the rule. Due to the devils being from the underworld, their mana gives off super evil vibes, and their magic is oftentimes able to match their malicious nature and intensity. Also, devils are dangerous because of their heart. As long as their heart remains intact, doesn't matter what level of damage you do to them because they can recover even if you destroy their entire body. If the heart isn't destroyed, you're not going to get too far because the devil can just come back in. It's extremely resilient on top of that. Also, devils cannot possess a grimoire unless it has a 5-leaf grimoire. Devils are also broken down into 4 tiers, which are low-ranking devils, mid-ranking devils, high-ranking devils, and finally supreme devils. So now that we got that out of the way, let's take a look at devils in Black Clover. Starting off with the devil that belongs to the main character Asta, we have his brother Liebe, a devil who entered the human world after being bullied by other devils in the underworld and was raised by Asta's mom as her child. Liebe is a low-ranking devil from the first level of the underworld and is the source of Asta's anti-magic powers. This is because Liebe has 0 mana, so he can't use magic, but this in turn allows him to use anti-magic without having any types of drawbacks, since there is no magic inside of his body to drain him when he uses it, which by extension applies to Asta. By having anti-magic, he's able to nullify magical attacks. When he goes into Devil Union mode with Asta, there's a noticeable boost in his stats. This is because they have a rather unique contract with one another. It's an equal contract, and that in turn plays a big part of the reason why the Devil Union mode is so overpowered. At first, when they went into this form, they could only use it for 5 minutes at a time, but after some training, Asta is able to stay in that Devil Union mode with Liebe for a much longer time, and one benefit is that if they ever get forced out of Devil Union mode, they can just go right back into it and pick up the transformation with the remaining time. So say if Asta is forced out of Devil Union mode and he has 3 minutes left, the next time he goes into it, he's able to pick back up exactly where those remaining 3 minutes were left at. Now, Zagred is the next devil we're discussing, the devil who we got introduced to back during the Elf Invasion arc, and is one of the more manipulative devils that we've seen. As a high-ranking devil who's been around for hundreds of years, he's not anything to turn your nose up at, especially when you consider what his magic type is, which is Kotodama. Now, this is one of the fascinating things that we have because of what Kotodama is. In Japanese, Kotodama is the belief that there's power in words, that the words themselves carry a magic. For instance, if you call out someone's name, then the Kotodama allows the person to be impacted regardless as to if they hear you or not. It's an ancient belief that goes all the way back to the early days of Shinto mythology, which is fitting for such an ancient being like Zagred. His Kotodama magic is just as overpowered as you would expect, using speech to manifest physical and magical objects as well as imitate another person's magic. And when he gets his hands on a 5-leaf grimoire, we see him summon monsters from the underworld that can absorb magic and life force and utilize a weapon that can use enormous destructive power, including the distortion of space. He also has the power to use reincarnation magic, which is what he uses to revive the dead into living bodies. He's able to possess bodies as well. He also has the power of flight, and as a devil, he has a more than absurd amount of magic power, being 1 rank below the supreme devils. Due to how overpowered he is, nearly every type of magic you can think of doesn't affect him, but there are exceptions. One of them obviously being Asta's anti-magic, but you also have Yami's dark magic, which now that we know the story about the Yami clan and the underworld dragon in the Land of Sun, it makes total sense why Yami's dark magic would be effective against a devil of this high ranking. Now, Lilith and Naamah are going to be the next devils that we talk about, and these are going to be supreme supreme devils who gave Nacht a bit of a hard time when he fought against them in the Spade Kingdom invasion. Lilith has ice devil magic and Naamah has fire devil magic. The fire and ice magic is unlike any version of it that you've seen in Black Clover before, because it's stated that their magic literally can burn and freeze everything, regardless as to whether or not it has physical substance or not. After they toy around with Nacht, Asta's shown coming in and getting the better of one of them right away, forcing the two to fuse together, which allows the fusion to combine their magic together, which it should be worth noting this is not what you expect from a fusion. This is being something stronger than just two devils on their own, and based off what we've seen, this isn't a 1+1 type of a fusion. It's more like a 1 times whatever number that you think is applicable type fusion. Now, Megicula is an interesting one to go over, and it's because of the information that got revealed when the Time Devil reveal was shown to us in the final arc of Black Clover. Megicula is considered to be one of the 3 rulers of the underworld, but that appears to only be the case because Astaroth vanished from the underworld. However, Megicula is really damn powerful. When Vonica uses her power, she's able to take down a Wizard King level fighter in Asir Silver, the mother of Noel Silver. Her curse magic is pretty overpowered, being able to weaken spells with it or outright harm her enemies with it, while also being able to affect spirits and overcome arcane stage magic spells. It's outright stated in the manga she's substantially stronger than Zagred, a devil who possessed more mana than Magic Knight captains and reincarnated elves, and required a team effort of Asta, Yuno, and the first Wizard King to bring down. So Vonica is very powerful. She's stronger than someone like that. Next, we have Lucifero, one of the strongest devils in the series, while also being one of the most disappointing devils in the series when you consider all the hype built up around his character, especially when you consider this is the devil who killed the main character's mother. He's one of the rulers of the underworld where the devils live. His magic power is gravity magic, and while we've seen gravity magic used before in the series, Lucifero rightfully takes it to another level than any other gravity magic user we see in the series before him. He makes them all look like novices. His gravity magic is so overpowered that all he needs is a small movement and he can immediately raise the gravity in the area and cause the strongest of the Magic Knight captains to kneel down before him due to the immense pressure of his gravity magic. He literally used this magic to distort the time space in front of him to evade attacks, rip apart magic, and even alter intangible objects such as dreams. You'd expect nothing less of the devil regarded as being the strongest devil connected to the Quillif, and a fully 100% manifested Lucifero was pretty much stated to be a world-destroying threat if he ever entered the human world fully manifested. We see a glimpse of how strong he is when he's able to not only fight out the Black Bulls, but also 7 amped up Magic Knight captains despite not being at his full power. With sheer physical force, he's able to halt Asta's anti-magic sword in place with minimal effort and almost one-shotted Asta with a single attack, but Asta survived, but he still took heavy damage. Even the combat queen, Merleona herself, was nothing before Lucifero, with him easily crushing the bones in her body when they fought. He's the definition of a god mode level devil, in that he has the durability to survive full-on powerful attacks, raises magic power so high that even someone like Henry can't properly drain him like he could someone else. Speed blitz even the fastest of characters, and even without full power, by that point in the series, he'd body your favorite Black Clover character in a 1 versus 1 battle, depending on who they are. Anytime you're one of the 3 devils who rules over the underworld, your name has to come with some respect and fear, and for a majority of Lucifero's time in the manga, he commanded that fear, but his defeat takes him from being viewed as being a king among devils to just getting downright disrespected following his death, because when he's sitting there screaming and making his big monologue, Adrammelech immediately takes his devil heart and gives him a patronizing look like he's looking down at him. Even worse, this wouldn't be the final L that he takes either, because Lucius Zagred, the rogue wizard king, would travel down to the underworld, whoop his ass again, and take his remaining devil heart as well. If failing to live up to expectations were a person, it'd be Lucifero, but in his defense, Lucifero is really strong, and Lucius is even stronger. That'd be like losing in the Olympics to another high-level athlete. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because at the end of the day, you're still into a class among yourself when compared to other athletes in the world. Our next devil is going to be Lucifugus, and there's not a ton known about this devil because he was only in the manga for a short period of time, but we do know that he's impressive. As a high-ranking devil, we know that he's strong and sadistic, but we do see him in the manga. After Nacht manages to actually summon him, after his father believes that Nacht can control Lucifugus, Lucifugus is able to to kill almost everyone in the room. This is despite the fact that Nacht's ritual actually suppressed his devil power, and had Nacht's brother Morgan not stepped in, it's safe to say that Lucifugus might have killed everyone in the room and even more people in the process. But due to Morgan stepping into the magic circle, breaking the bracelet that Nacht was using, and canceling out the ritual that he used, he was able to send him back down to the underworld. Sadly, as of this recording, we haven't seen Lucifugus magic yet, and I'm recording this after Black Clover's already been transferred to Jump Giga, a quarterly magazine. So if there's an update by the end of the series, I will make an updated video going over everything we know about devils in Black Clover as of the end of the series itself. The next devil we have is Adrammelech. As a supreme devil, he's also powerful as you would expect, but based on his actions in the manga, as well as Black Clover's mangaka Yuki Tabata literally telling us that Adrammelech has a bit more to him than actually meets the eye, there's likely more to his powers than what we've seen. While we haven't seen him use his magic, what we have seen is that he easily withstood Lucifero's gravity magic, to a point he was casually floating in the air despite it being used. While Lucifero wasn't at full power, we saw in the final battle with Lucifero that even him at 50% is still pretty immense. Adrammelech appears to have his own motives. Like I mentioned before, Tabata has hinted that there's more to the character, but in the final battle with Lucifero, he refused to take orders when Lucifero was demanding that he do so, and in the manga, when Lucifero is manifesting, he even takes the time to warn the humans nearby to run away because Lucifero was coming. Something you don't normally expect when it comes to devils, because devils normally hate humans, and we see him working with Lucius, the rogue wizard king, even going so far as to advise him to take Yuno as a serious threat because of how powerful Yuno had gotten. Moving on, we have Beelzebub, another high-ranking devil who we see has a contract with Xenon, and when Lucius turns Sister Lily into a paladin, we see his magic being used as well. His magic is spatial magic, which gives him the power to manipulate space, and this is incredibly powerful. When Xenon attacks the Golden Dawn headquarters using only 50% of Beelzebub's power, he's able to bully Yuno in their fight. Even when Yuno gets this monster power up in the Spade Kingdom invasion arc, Beelzebub's power was more than respectable during that battle, which forced Xenon to make a deal with the devil by giving up his body and soul in the process. Nacht's 4 devils aren't too unlike Liebe in that they don't necessarily mean any harm towards humans. Due to Nacht having such a prodigy level talent when it comes to devil magic, Nacht was able to make contracts with these 4 devils. The names of the devils are as follows: Guidomelo, who has a devil union mode with Nacht in the form called the Canis, which allows him to start using shadow clones in battle. Slotos is the devil that Nacht uses in devil union mode that creates a shadow style armor that amps up his durability and defense to insane levels. If that isn't crazy enough, Nacht is able to use the 2 devil union modes together, which allows for the devils to collectively raise their magic power to a point where they can rival supreme devils. Then you have Plutame, and this devil union mode allows Nacht to have increased speed and agility. Walgren and his devil union mode gives Nacht the ability to unleash a blistering cry that can paralyze the person that actually hears it. Just like the first 2 devils mentioned, Nacht can combine these 2 devils for a devil union mode as well. Now Baal is another devil we don't know a ton about, but what little we do know is pretty cool when you think about it. Baal can use air magic, and his purified soul was placed inside of Damnatio in the final arc of the series, and he was pretty much able to bully the Black Bulls until Asta showed up, showcasing the fruits of his labor from the intense training arc he had in Yami's homeland, the Land of Sun. His magic is air magic, which allows him to manipulate the air, though I have seen translations that refer to it as atmosphere magic. Unfortunately for him, the Black Bulls served as jobbers, only to be used to hype up Asta, who basically took him down immediately following his reintroduction into the final arc. The last devil that we're going to discuss here is going to be Astaroth, who is both shrouded in mystery as well as someone we know for a fact is cracked, just because of what we've seen the people who can use his power can do. Astaroth is the time devil and is one of the original rulers of the underworld. His power is the power that we see Julius the Wizard King use. So think of all the insane stuff you saw Julius do and realize that Astaroth is likely able to do that on steroids. The same when it comes to Lucius, who was able to easily body Asta when they first fought at the start of the final arc. That same Lucius was able to take down Lucifero's other half in the devil world, which again, 50% of Lucifero was enough to press Asta and the Black Bulls, Yuno, and all the magic captains to the limit, and they barely survived. We don't know how Astaroth made the connection he did with Lucius and Julius in the first place, but given we're in the final home stretch of Black Clover, we're going to likely find out the truth at some point, and if this ends up being the case, I'll come back with the definitive video on all devils in Black Clover explained, but for right now, that's all we know about devils in Black Clover. In the meantime, feel free to check out these other Black Clover videos you see on the screen right now.